What up, sports fans? It's the Sports Reporters Without Pay. Hey, real quick, I'll be meaning to say this in my videos. This is my YouTube. I'm trying to dive into this thing a little more. So if you get a chance, watch the video, comment, like, subscribe to the channel so we can keep this thing going. All right. We're going to do an NBA season preview. I'm going to break it down into 3 separate videos. We're going to do an Eastern Conference, Western Conference, and then an overall NBA. This is going to be my Eastern Conference preview. We're a day late. Season started yesterday, but nothing happened in those games that's going to really change anything. So with that being said, let's jump right into it. Keep in mind, this is a conference preview. So we're going with the Eastern Conference first. Contenders. I got Boston and Philly as the only real contenders in my eyes. A lot of people, most people have Boston as the clear favorites in the Eastern Conference. With what they did last year, going to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals without arguably their 2 best players, we got to see that team grow a lot of continuity. They play together. They play hard. They play defense. And then you getting your 2 quote-unquote main guys back. And with them being out, those young guys got a chance to step up. They grew. That team is loaded. I really don't... many people have them as one of the very few teams they would give a chance against Golden State in a 7-game series. So they're the clear favorites in the East. But I do have Philly as a sleeper contender, if you want to put it that way. I don't think anybody else in the East can beat Philly. The problem with Philly is Boston seems to be their kryptonite. They can't seem to figure it out against them. Horford has Embiid's number. But again, those are the only 2 teams I really think have a chance at coming out of the East. Pretenders, I got Indiana and Toronto. Toronto, a lot of people are, calling them one of the favorites in the East with the addition of Kawhi. I'm not as big as on Kawhi as a lot of people. You got a new coach. We don't really know what they're going to be like under this new coach. And I never really just saw it with Toronto like that. They always seem like a team that did well in the regular season, get to the playoffs and kind of choke. Then again, their kryptonite has left the conference, so we'll see how they go, but I don't see anything big from Toronto. Indiana neither. I think they're going to have a lot of false hope. They kind of jumped ahead of schedule, with the playoffs last year. They made the playoffs. Victor Oladipo had a hell of a season, and then they gave the Cavs all they could handle in the first round. So now people are going to have unreal expectations for them. I think they were already ahead of schedule. We should see what they did last year is what we might have expected this year. But I'm expecting about the same thing. Maybe a win in the first round. I don't see them going any further than the second round. If we're talking about playoff hopefuls, the 8 teams I think are going to make it are the 4 I mentioned already in Boston, Philly, Indiana, Toronto. And then I have Milwaukee and Washington. Those 6 are probably locks. Then you're looking at those last 2 spots I think are going to be up for grabs with the likes of Detroit, Cleveland, and Miami. I don't think anybody else in the East is going to really challenge those 3 teams for those last 2 spots. Charlotte may be sitting right under them, but I don't see anything big coming from Charlotte. Chicago's another team that may or may not make a huge jump. Your bottom feeders are probably going to be Atlanta, Brooklyn, New York, Orlando. So that's kind of where I see things shaping out in the East. I would give those last 2 spots to probably Detroit and Cleveland. Conference MVP, I'm looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm expecting a huge season from him. He's going to put up monster numbers. If Milwaukee can be a top 3 or 4 seed, he may even put himself in the NBA MVP conversation. I think he will be by far the best player in the conference. Just not enough in Milwaukee for them to make any serious noise. A good start for them would be winning a playoff round. Most improved player, I'm expecting big things from Aaron Gordon this year. He has all the opportunity in the world. Orlando won't be very good. He will be the best player on the team. He should get a lot of touches, a lot of opportunities to put up some more numbers. I'm expecting a 21-22-ish, maybe 7-4 type season from him. If he can do that, again, he'll put himself in the conversation for NBA most improved player. But I do expect him to be the most improved player in the conference. Eastern Conference Rookie of the Year, I'm looking at Trae Young. I don't think it's a whole lot of options for that. He'll have the uber green light. He'll just get to do what he wants to do down there in Atlanta. They won't win a lot of games. 15-20 may even be pushing it for Atlanta, and he will put up, somewhere around 20 points a game. He'll probably have a low field goal percentage, won't be very efficient, but again, he'll have some numbers. Conference coach, I'm looking at Dwayne Casey, man. I think he was, I don't say he's unfairly let go, but can't really fault a guy for losing to LeBron James year after year. He did the same thing everybody else in the conference did. The entire conference lost to LeBron James for 8 years in a row. So Casey got fired for only team that's beat them in the last 3 years has been the Cleveland Cavs. So can't really fault him, but I'm looking at him in Detroit. You looking at Blake being there a whole year now. Drummond is highly underrated. People don't talk about Drummond. This guy going out putting up 17 and 15 every year like it's nothing. So that may be the best front court in the Eastern Conference. If they can get some consistent play from their perimeter guys, Detroit may sneak up on some people. They may can be a 5-6 seed type team, and that would be a huge accomplishment for Casey. I think he may be not the best coach in the conference, but he may do the best job as a coach in the Eastern Conference this year. Biggest surprise, I'm looking at Kevin Love. If he can revert back to the 80% of the guy we saw in Minnesota, Cleveland can sneak up on some people. People, they kind of down this guy because when you playing next to LeBron, the expectations are so high, and if you're not like some superstar, you kind of get all the blame when things don't go well when you play on LeBron's team. Kevin Love quietly was putting up 20 and 10 year after year. I mean, those guys don't just grow on trees. And now with LeBron gone, he's going to be the number one option. Those same young, athletic, guys with all that bounce and energy that they brought in will still be there. But now Kevin Love will be the number one option. I'm looking at a 25 and 12-ish season again from him. So if he can revert back to that Minnesota guy, I expect him to surprise a lot of people. Biggest disappointment, Kawhi Leonard, my eyes are on you. I believe a lot of people have him as this top 5 guy, and he's the best two-way player in the league, which I personally think is the most overly used term in basketball. But that's neither here nor there. I don't expect a big season from Kawhi Leonard. I'm not expecting this guy to come and be the best player in the conference and give us 25 and 5 and 4. I just don't see it. I don't think Toronto is going to be as good as people are projecting them to be. I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be a huge disappointment. I could be wrong. We will see. Team with the most approved has to be Boston because everybody's putting you in this upper echelon of NBA teams. You went to the Eastern Conference Finals without your 2 best players or your 2 biggest name players because those young guys, man, they're really, to me, they're making Hayward look expendable. Tatum and Brown look really good, but anything less than a finals appearance would be a disappointment for Boston at this point. So they have a lot to prove. Players with the most improved, again, I already talked about Kawhi being a disappointment, but he got a lot of pressure on his shoulders. You sat out the whole year. You left San Antonio. This is a franchise who's been, people model their teams after San Antonio. They're, an elite franchise. They're model citizens. They do everything the right way. And you had a bad falling out with them. So now you got to prove to the world that you're an elite player, and whatever was going on in San Antonio is behind you, and you still one of the top players in the league. So Kawhi has a whole lot to prove, and Kyrie Irving is at the top of that list. Your team went to the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 7, without you. They have to be better with you back. You have to go out and be a leader. You have to go out and be a veteran. You have to go out and be one of the best point guards in the league. Anything less than a finals appearance for Boston is going to be a disappointing season, and it all falls on Kyrie's shoulders. My bold prediction for the Eastern Conference. I've talked about this guy and this team like 2 or 3 times now. I think Toronto loses in the first round. I don't know who they're going to lose to, but I think they lose in the first round. I've already said that Boston and Philly are my 2 contenders. I believe Indiana might could beat Toronto in a 7-game series. I believe Milwaukee might could beat Toronto in a 7-game series. It's not a lot of teams I look at. Like Toronto would have to be a number 2 or 3 seed and get the right matchup with maybe a Cleveland, Detroit, Miami in the bottom half of the East, maybe even Washington to advance. But if they mess around and get like in that 4 or 5 range, or they're on the bottom half and they have to play a Boston, Philly, Indy, Milwaukee in the first round, I don't see Toronto making it past the first round. So anyway, there's my Eastern Conference predictions. Again, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Scroll through the videos, find my Western Conference and NBA previews. Appreciate y'all for watching.